Hello and welcome. So right now what I'm planning on doing is on day one getting through the about 3 rows total. So what the way I scheduled it would be for the next 4 days we're gonna do the first 13 rows to complete that first section. That'll come out to at least 3 days of doing 3 rows per day and 1 day of doing 4 rows. So that would be kind of the pace that I'm looking to keep up with in order to get this blanket done by end of month. If you can do it faster, perfectly. It's great. That's why I did release the chart in full. That way, if those that are used to the technique, if you want it, let's say, done before the 14th, totally possible if you hustle through it. But otherwise, if we're learning the technique and we're trying to pace ourselves, I think either doing it a little bit per day, or if you, let's say, don't work at it all, or only work on it throughout the weekend, so you have 5 days break and you'll kind of have an all day crochet-a-thon. On the weekends, I do that sometimes, to get it done. So let me know kind of the timing if, 3 rows a night is reasonable, or, we might have to take a look at a different schedule moving forward, and we'll go from there. So this is going to be the start of row two. So what I have on the table right now is the end of row one with the stitch markers that mark each section. So row two, we're going to go ahead and start. Um, I have the progress tracker in Stitch Fiddle up. So what you can see here is you'll see kind of the hard line of the section here. That'll remain the same. That's why I added the stitch markers at those sections. And we're building up kind of a diamond um, in it. So you'll see 5 of the dark pink, and then 3 light, and then 5. And then this next section where we were doing 12, 1, and 12. Now we're going to be, let me scroll back a little farther. Now we're going to do 10, 5, and 10. Yes, that'll work. That'll work. I had to think about that for a minute. Yeah, 25 total. So instead of this 12 and 1 and 12, it's going to be 10, 5, and 10 on the second section. That way. So we'll roll back over here. Start of row 2. We're going to start in the dark pink. So as usual, we're going to grab that first stitch, in both loops. We're going to attach all 4 colors. Even them out as much as possible. So working color is up. We're going to lock it in. And now we're ready to start. And so this is where, when I always say, like, hey, if you're not a huge fan of counting, you can kind of visualize this project a little bit more than some of my other ones. So basically, we already know we're kind of building out the triangles. So we're basically going to increase 1 stitch on each side. So we're going to switch to the light purple, or sorry, light pink. And instead of 1, which we did the last row, we're going to do 3. And then the row after that, we'll do 5, 7, 9, 11, and then 13 would be kind of the middle where the light pink would go all the way across. Obviously, we're not there yet, but that's going to be kind of how that diamond increases. Here, finish this off here. Okay. So what that's going to produce in this first section of 13 stitches is kind of a tall diamond. It'll be kind of like probably about like that. Once we're done with all 13 rows, to kind of give you an idea how tall it'll be. This next section is kind of our larger diamond. So instead of increasing by 1 on each side, we're going to increase each row by 2 on each side. So that's where we get 10 of the light pink. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the red, and then 10 of the light pink again. And if you're very visual, you might just be able to kind of visualize the pattern. Like I said, if you're trying to pay attention to other things, whether it's music or a TV show, whatever, life in general. Like I said, these geometric patterns are a little bit easier to follow visually. With some of the other, photos of the dragons or the sugar skulls, you inevitably have to pay attention to each and every color. There's really no way of being able to visualize as you go, since as you're working is going to be such a small preview. So usually the picture doesn't show up until you have it spread out on the ground and you're kind of taking a picture of it. So just thinking out loud on those. I know that counting can be both relaxing for some as well as extremely stressful for others. So we're going to finish off with the 5 of the red. Switch back to the pink. A little bit more yarn here. All right, finishing up. Like that. Okay, let me scroll the tracker over. So we've done the 5 of the red, 10 of the light. So now we're going to do 5, and remember, as trackers kind of just shows a little section of the time. So this next color that we're going to do is actually the light peach. The written pattern will be have the peach color. Just sometimes if you don't have the dark pink and the peach in the tracker right next to each other, they look really similar. So we're going to swap to the light peach. We're going to do the 5, 3, and then 5. Wide just chain up that section. Just like that. And so we're going to do another of the 10, 5, and 10 and the light pink red color combo. So you can kind of see how the numbers in a way repeat themselves. So it's just a matter of knowing kind of what color comes next, and kind of following the pattern that way. So we'll do 10. This fire red, it almost is like a little bit thinner of a yarn. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that than some of the other reds. I just chose it because of its kind of the brightness of it. I really liked that orange base contract with the cherry blossom kind of orange tinted pink. If you do choose a darker red, it'll still work. But just keep in mind, like kind of the color theory. Um, a orange based red, you can see my camera, it almost like blows it out with the orange based, pink. If this was a more of a bluish toned red, you might need a bluer toned. So they have what's called rosy cheeks versus this cherry blossom. That rosy cheeks has a lot more blue tone in it. And it might work better for your project if you did choose a darker red, darker purple based red. I'm by no means a color theory expert, just the way I visualize how colors go together. All right, I'm gonna go back to the light pink. All right, we're gonna swap to this next small section. So here you'll see the dark pink. So we'll do the 5, 3, 5. Okay, we're gonna swap over to the light peach. Okay, and this is kind of where we get a little bit of the combination of sections since they all use kind of that light peach base. So we're still going to separate it per section. So this is going to be a longer section. So we're going to do the 10, 5, and 10 of the light peach. However, we're not going to prepare to switch colors at the very end of that second 10, just because we are going to continue in the light peach for the next section. So just kind of to keep our sanity here, we'll stick with the pattern. Do 10. And then we'll do 5 dark pink. To grab the red in that. Here we go. So now we are back to the peach color. So we'll do 10 to finish off this section. Okay, so now you'll see we have a small section of the 13 here. So we're going to continue the pattern. So we just finished 10. So now we're going to do the 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the peach. So in theory, instead of doing 10, we did like 15 in a row just because we have two sections back to back that use the same color. So the original row we did 18. This row 2 we're going to do 15. If you're into counting, that'll all be listed in the pattern. Just trying to give some alternative visuals when doing this. So actually I need to do one more. This is a small section, so we only increase 1 on each side. And then we'll do 5. So that'll be one of the large sections, and then this right here, starting here, would be the small. So we have one more of the larger sections, which is going to use that light peach as the base. So theoretically, we're going to do another 15 of the light peach. So I've already done 5 to finish that section, so we're going to do 10 more. We're going to do 5 of the dark pink. As this is a kind of a larger section, we'll finish off with the 10 peach. All right, and that will leave our final small triangle section. So we'll do finish off with 5 dark pink. Three peach. And then the final 5 dark pink. I split that yarn is why I'm having issues. There we go. So just quick show you. Yes, we have a little bit of a twist, kind of a knot. It's nothing that's extremely tight, but knots happen. If it does get extremely tight, it can, cause some problems. So I always recommend, trying to keep it from knotting too crazy, but don't get hung up on it, in short, if it does. So we're just going to pull that through, just like that. And we have the end of the row. Let's see if we can lay this out a little bit so you can kind of see the start. So we started with a small triangle. You can kind of see a little bit more of where we're going. We get into that lighter peach and end with that dark pink. So let me know your progress. Post your pictures in the Facebook group. Excited to see where everybody's at, what pace works best for everyone. Want to make sure this is actually fun and not frustrating. So let me know your feedback, and I'll see you in the next one.